initially I wanted to do this one by one, but then I realized that I'm actually pretty lazy. So we're gonna do this all at once because why not? Hanna Alkaf is coming up with her new book by the end of this month, and I haven't covered any of her books in the channel, even though I really love her. I absolutely adore every single one of her books, and I'm super excited with the arrival of Hamra in a Jungle of Memories, which is a retelling of Red Riding Hood, except that the Red Riding Hood is a girl in a red hijab, and the wolf is actually a tiger. Very tied in Malaysian folklore and Malaysian culture. I'm super excited. The thing about Hanna Alkaf is that she talks about racism, she talks about religion, she talks about mental illness and trauma, but she does it in such a respectful and nuanced way that, yeah, just go read Hanna Alkaf instead. Which I think it's great that she's writing for children and she talks about these complex issues with a fun and relatable way. Because honestly, children need to be taught about this at a young age in a way that that is acceptable to them, and not just simply about marriage, love, and etc. They need to talk about this thing, and I'm glad that writers like Hannah is exploring this, and because we really need people like her to talk about issues this complex to kids, and she did it so well that I can't stress enough how much you just have to read her books. But before that, if you want to check out any of her books, I would like to put a trigger warning because she talks a lot about mental illness and grief, death, trauma, and possibly even racism a bit. So if you're triggered by this, I just want to let you be warned. However, let me tell you something. If you can get past that, you'll be rewarded, because I think she handles the issue really, really well. And that the concepts that she came up with, her stories, is just some of the more original and fascinating things that come out of YA. Not only the way she handles the issue, but the concept that she used to talk about those issues with are very original. Not just for YA genre, but just like writing in general. That's just how amazing she is to me, and that I really can't wait for her new book. So before I just ramble on about how great she is, let's talk about her first book, which is The Weight of Our Skies. So The Weight of Our Skies is not actually her first book. This is her first internationally published book, and I would highly recommend you start with this. This is amazing, by the way. We talked about this book in my Asian book club, and it's just one of the best depiction of May 13th. Not only that, but I also think that Ministry of Education could actually consider using this book as part of your literary components. Just saying. The thing about this book is that this is actually the second one that I read. Her first book that I read was The Girl and the Ghost, but we're going to talk about The Girl and the Ghost later. So if you guys don't know, this book was set in May 13th, 1969 event, which is great because not many authors talked about it, because this is one of the most turbulent and sensitive event in Malaysian history. It's about a racial riot between the Chinese and Malays. It was a bloody history, and sadly this part of our history wasn't talked about enough in schools or just in general. People just prefer to just shove it under somewhere and just refuse to talk about it, which is sad because I think this event deserves to be talked about objectively. So Melati is an OCD teen that got stuck in a May 13th riot and separated from her mom, and some of the stuff's happening there are actually quite graphic, but this is a YA book, so I'm guessing it's permissible. So yeah, one of those trigger warnings. I think if you read the book in the beginning, Hanna Alkaf also addresses that, and she actually creates the warning herself. So during the event, a Chinese family took her in during the curfew. Guess what? This book has a very nuanced depiction of race. Like, the Chinese are very kind to her, but they also have these struggles, this like, oh, is everyone here to be trusted? One of the members of the Chinese family is like, can we even trust Melati? She seems really strange, and she's also like, can I trust this Chinese family? There's this tension in there, and the whole journey of the story, it's about both Melati and the family to overcome this racial prejudice between them. And ultimately, May 13th is not the fight between Chinese and Malays. It's about a fight between stupid people versus stupid people. And we got over that hurdle. And we're supposed to be better than that. And another thing that I like is about, since Melati is also dealing with her inner demons, those voices in her head, the mental illness that she's struggling with, that it's not about getting healed from mental illness 100%, because, well, I think that a lot of stories with mental illness, and this is one of the good ones, it talks about how it's not about fully healing 100%, because most of them don't fully heal 100%. It's about making peace with that, making peace with yourself and your inner demons, and it's about trying to navigate your life as best as you can. I love how Melati's struggle in fighting her inner demons perfectly parallels with the racial tension between the Chinese and Malays. I mean, if you're like into romance, there's like a little bit of romantic bits between Melati and Vincent, the son of the Chinese family, and how Vincent is the one like, you like music? I like music. There's a little bit of sepet in there. And if you're interested, this book also has a webtoon. So yeah, go check that out. The tension in this book is high, but not too high to the point where you get stressed. So it's just enough, and the stakes are high as well, because Melati is like, where's my mom? The characters are all very captivating, they're very complex, and it's nice to know how like these Chinese families, like, just very kind, very accommodating. There's other races as well. Basically, the family just took in a lot of people, and that they're doing their best to accommodate to their needs, and also to keep everyone safe in the house. If any of you are a gamer, I don't know, maybe if you have played the game Hellblade, I can't help but think that Melati shares a bit of similarities with the main character of Hellblade, which is Senua, that both of them are deal with their inner demons, and they somewhat share the same kind of mental illness. In Hellblade, Senua is supposed to be schizophrenic, and initially I thought Melati is schizophrenic, because it was never explicitly mentioned in the book what form of mental illness that she has, and that it is depicted in a supernatural way. So it is totally up to you. I don't know, it was just simply my assumption, so please, if you have read the book and you know what she has, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I saw that she has this very similar concept with the Furies in Hellblade, because in Hellblade, Senua has this voices that goes on in her head, like tells her like should go there, and like don't go in there, like, and like basically these voices are telling her, like blaming her for a lot of things that happen in her life, but at the same time also tries to guide her, and she's in conflict with those voices, and those voices also caused her to have a broken relationship with the people around her. So it is very interesting how these two share a lot of similarities. And by the way, if you haven't played Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, you should, because it's an amazing game. Another nugget that I want to mention is that the title, The Weight of Our Skies itself, is actually a direct reference to a Malay idioms, basically di mana bumi berpijak di situ langit dijunjung. It is a very beautiful saying, that because it represents that it is a people that is carrying the weight of our skies, the weight of pride, the weight of duty, and the weight of our culture of Malaysia, and that it's about making sense of your own identity under this. I love towards the end of the story that it's not like some big gesture like, oh, all of a sudden everyone is like okay, but no, but what's more important is that Melati is okay, her family is okay, Vincent and his family is okay, and the people who knows what matters are okay, and that they are eventually heading towards something greater and bigger. And I personally think this book is a perfect read for Independence Day or Malaysia Day, so yeah. Next, we have The Girl and the Ghost, which is actually my first introduction to Hanna Alkaf. Initially, when The Weight of Our Skies came out, I did not feel like checking the book at all for some reason, and yet this was the one that got me interested in her. And this book is actually middle grade, and we had this book for our speculative fiction discussion, and it was a very interesting and fruitful discussion, mind you. Out of all the 3 books in this list, this one is the most unexpected, because the concept is very, very unique. Especially if you're Malay, you would understand how weird this concept is, because this book is middle grade. I thought that I'm too old for it. First of all, this book is a bit part horror, a bit of a Goosebumps feel to it. If you're into like Goosebumps, I think you will have fun with this book. This book has also made me cry. Surprisingly, because I did not expect to cry, but I cried so much after reading this book. So let me read you the synopsis of this. It's about a girl who inherits a palisade from her estranged grandmother when she was a child. So what is a palisade, you ask? So a palisade is a type of entity, supernatural entity in the Malay culture, in the Malay folklore. It's basically an evil spirit, and that Suraya, the main character, inherits this when she was still a child, very much a child. The spirit was lovingly nicknamed Pink because pink is her favorite color, and he has become her companion throughout her life. So in Malay folklore, the palisade is an evil spirit that shamans use to do their bidding, and it is often associated with black magic. The palisade often takes the form of a grasshopper. So if you can see this, like there's a grasshopper in here, and this is what pink's supposed to look like. When you were a kid in Malaysia, I remember every single time we saw a grasshopper, we'd be like, palisade. And it's actually like, not every grasshopper is a palisade. However, as I said, Pink is an evil spirit, and ultimately that side of him is revealed to Suraya. Suraya is a very lonely girl, because her friendship with Pink made her a little bit odd, made her a little bit strange, that she couldn't find friends her age. But then when she becomes a teenager, she starts to befriend a girl called Jing. He gets jealous. And because of Pink's jealousy, Suraya has caught the attention of this guy who aims to capture Pink. Basically just a terrible guy. The book will make you cry, so please prepare your tissues, by the way. The story is the shortest out of 3, so I think you can finish it in one sitting, but it is also the most emotional one for me. I love how, despite it being short, it talks about the aspects of motherhood across the 3 generations of Suraya's family, which is the grandmother, the mother, and Suraya herself. And I won't spoil it for you because there's a big plot twist and I need you to experience it yourself. I really love Suraya as a character. I find her very adorable. Realistically, if you inherit an evil spirit from your ancestor, it's not a good thing. And this book, despite its vibe, it stays true to the reality because Suraya has a difficult time with Pink eventually because of Pink's toxic nature. And Suraya's and Jing's friendship is one of the best things in the story. It's very cute, it's very heartwarming, and Jing is such a great character. Jing is very eccentric, but not in a way that is like how a lot of people depict eccentricity. Her being eccentric make her so much fun. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I think after giving it some thought is that the relationship between Pink and Suraya is an allegory for toxic friendship, because how Pink torments Suraya when she found a new friend, like a bunch of things happen to her, like she sees bugs, she vomits and everything. Whenever Suraya strays from Pink, Pink torments her. And if Pink is a true friend, like, he wouldn't hurt her in any way. But the fact that he becomes the first person who hurts her, it clearly shows what kind of being Pink actually is. It's against nature. Initially, when I first read this book, I was a bit skeptical, and as the story progresses and after giving it some thought, I do understand that this book is not about making supernatural and human relationship in a positive light. It's about realizing the signs of a toxic relationship around you. And the fact that this book is written for children, that it's a middle grade book, and it handles this very mature and important issue and trying to educate children on how to recognize controlling behaviors in relationship, is actually really good. I love the nuanced representation of not only the humans, not only the multiracial community, but also the supernatural community as well. Diversity. And also forgot to mention that this book got so big overseas that Hanna even posted on Twitter that one kid dressed up as Pink pink for Halloween. I thought it was so adorable, by the way. You should check it out. And how cool is that for her? So I'd say good for you, Hanna. I am now more excited than ever for Unibook. So maybe the tiger can also be the next Halloween costume for this year. So last but not least, we have the Queen of Tiles. Out of the 3 books, this is the one that is set in modern day. This is her latest book. I actually, because of this book, I managed to go to some of her events as well. This is the one that is like a whodunit mystery, almost like a Knives Out, a Glass Onion kind of thing. This is about Najwa, who joins the Scrabble competition after her best friend Trina, who is the Queen of Tiles, tragically died mid-game. So she's still experiencing some trauma, but now she's like joining the competition again to grab the position and the throne of Queen of Tiles. As the competition begins, she found herself in the middle of a closed room mystery as Trina started posting again from beyond the grave, and it is up to Najwa and her friends to solve the mystery and prevent history from repeating itself. So personally speaking, I don't really think that this one is as great as her other 2 books, but it is still not bad. And it's still enjoyable anyway. I actually did enjoy it. It's not every day that you get something so original. I mean, like a Scrabble tournament with a vibe of a chess tournament. So after the book is released, I realized that, Hanna Alkaf actually likes to write about trauma. I mean, with her previous 2 protagonists are also highly related to trauma, and Najwa as a character deals a lot with grief and the tragic loss of her friend, and also survivor's guilt and such. And she also experienced all this anxiety that people think about her is like, oh my god, is it even right for her to join this? Is she even in her right mind? Like, I thought she's supposed to be still traumatized or something. Like she has to handle a lot of things at once. I like Najwa's inner voice a lot since the story is written from her perspective. I love how her mind works. There's almost this savant quality to it. It's like everything has to be associated with words that she's going to use in Scrabble. And apparently Scrabble is also a game that is very close to Hanna herself. In her session at Lit Books, she talks about how like she used to play Scrabble when she was young. Some of the weird big words in the book, she also used it during her Scrabble days, and it was interesting because this is probably one of the ones that is most related to her. I like how the depiction of her struggle, along with trying to navigate the competition and also the mystery and the possibility that she might die, because her friend just suddenly died during the tournament. And I don't really think that as a murder mystery it's great, but as a teen drama, I honestly think it is very, very serviceable and it's great. I think that because this is her first time doing a murder mystery, so I think she's still trying to find like her way into this. And knowing Hanna's writing, I honestly think she will only improve over time, because I haven't read anything bad from her, so I'm weirdly optimistic about this. The overall thing about Hanna Alkaf's work is that I love how she takes this concept that a lot of mainstream Malay authors don't use, and she molds it and take it into something that is new but traditional at the same time. She doesn't change it so much so that it is unrecognizable, but she serves it to international audience very well without taking away any of its identity. When it comes to representation, I think that especially not just as a Malay, not just as a Malaysian, but also as a Muslim, I think that what she's doing right now is really awesome. And that as a Muslim woman myself, as a Malay and a Malaysian, I think that we need this more than ever. I personally hope that she keeps doing whatever it is that she's doing and improve over time. That is all I can say about Hanna Alkaf's books. I would like to say, if you haven't checked out any of her works, do check it out, because she is really, really awesome and you're gonna love her as much as I do. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one, and maybe in the future videos we can talk about her latest books. So bye.